So this business of how long people who are alive today may live all began in, I'm going to say, something like 2002. So I had come up with the idea of comprehensive damage repair and convinced myself that it was feasible back in 2000. And then in about 2002, a Dutch journalist named Theo Rickel contacted me and asked me how long I expected to be the life expectancy, the average lifespan of people born in the year 2100. And it turned out that he was asking this question to every gerontologist that he could get hold of. Anyway, long and short of it was, I said, well, probably about 5,000. Essentially what I was doing was I was taking the assumption that by then we would very probably have defeated aging to the extent of staying one step ahead of the problem, this methuselarity thing, and that therefore the risk of death per year needed to be presumed to stay the same, however long ago somebody was born. So if one looks at the risk of death today in early adulthood, then it's very low. If you reach, let's say, the age of 26 in the Western world, then your chance of not reaching the age of 27 is less than 1 in 1,000. And that number, of course, is going to decline because we're going to get better at stopping people from dying in other causes, like car accidents or whatever. So I thought, well, okay, let's throw in a modest factor there. And, 5,000 is a pretty conservative number. So that's the number I gave. I still stand by it, absolutely. I think that it is extremely likely that people born today will, on average, live to 1,000. What I'm doing when I'm talking about the achievement of the methuselarity is I'm talking about comparing the progress that typical technologies make after some initial breakthrough is made. So I'm saying, yes, I think we can reach the methuselarity by particular ways to do with actual biology as we have it today within the next couple of decades with high probability. But I'm absolutely not saying what ways we will subsequently use to keep ahead of the curve. I'm just saying that technologies tend to keep ahead of the curve, and therefore that it would be absurd to pretend that that's not going to happen. And my colleagues never deny this. They never say, oh, this is actually wrong for this specific reason. They just don't want to have anything to do with it. They just run away very fast.
So the main question, how long the humans can live?
Well, I don't know how long people are going to live, but what I do know is that soon, in the next couple of decades anyway, we will probably be able to bring aging under control. We will be able to keep people truly youthful, both mentally and physically, however long they live. That probably means that they will live a lot longer than we do today. But the longevity is not what we should be thinking about, because it's a side effect of staying healthy, and everyone wants to stay healthy.
I see. How do you think the longevity or staying healthy longer will affect and shape societies and humanity in general?
Well, it will make a huge difference. I mean, let's face it, today everyone gets sick when they get old, and nobody likes that, and we have to spend a huge amount of money as a result because people can't be productive when they get sick. So everything will be much different. Everything will be much more prosperous and happier when nobody is getting sick.
Where do we stand in terms of anti-aging medicine? Is there what interesting research is being done currently?
It's moving forward much faster now than ever before. The right kind of medicine, the medicine that's really going to work, is regenerative medicine, which doesn't just slow aging down, it actually turns it backwards, so that we can take people who are already older and make them biologically younger again. And that medicine is now coming really fast. There are many, many parts of it which are already working and other parts that are close. A very simple question, the question, in what ways can one be sick? Can people be sick? In other words, give us a taxonomy of sickness. Most people would say, well, okay, there's infectious diseases, that's column one, communicable diseases. Then there's column two is congenital, genetic diseases that we are, some small proportion of us are unlucky enough to inherit. Then in column three, there's the main problems of ill health in the industrialized world in today. Namely, of course, the chronic progressive diseases of old age, Alzheimer's, cancer, atherosclerosis. Those are the big diseases these days. And then most people would say that way out here in the stratosphere somewhere, there is this other fourth, completely different thing, which is not like diseases at all, this thing called aging itself, which consists of these rather nebulous, rather non-specific phenomena like frailty and, sarcopenia, which means the loss of muscle as we get older, and immunosenescence, the declining function of the immune system. And most people will just feel that these things are so different from diseases that we might as well not even think about them in the same way at all. That they're kind of, as I mentioned earlier, off limits to medicine. They're kind of natural and inevitable and all that kind of nonsense. This is what people say. They say, well, there's aging and then there's the diseases of old age, and these are different things. Aging is somehow universal and natural, and the diseases of aging are not. That turns out to be completely incorrect. The correct way to classify how you can be sick is shown here. All the 4 columns now are the same as they were on the previous table, but the difference is that that big black line is in a different place between columns 2 and 3 instead of columns 3 and 4. And that is so as to emphasize 2 key points, 2 key misconceptions and errors in what people normally think. The first error that people make, that is shown by putting the black line in the wrong place, is to think that there's some kind of fundamental distinction between column 3 and column 4. In other words, that there really are diseases of old age and then there's aging itself. That's complete nonsense. The only difference between column 3 and column 4 is semantic. That column 3 consists of the aspects of aging that we've chosen to give disease-like names to, and column 4 consists of the aspects of aging that we haven't. That is all. Everything in either column 3 or column 4 is a consequence of having been alive a long time, a consequence of the accumulation of an amount of damage in the body of whatever type that exceeds what the body is set up to tolerate. That is all.